The black-haired man sits pensively on his bed, bathed in the soft morning light filtering through the blinds. A dedicated salaryman prepares for another grueling day, dreading the suffocating crowd of his daily dawn commute. To maintain his physique, he diligently logs half an hour on the treadmill at the office gym. As a steady drip sounds in the shower, he remains cautious about hiding a secret marked upon his skin. His privacy is suddenly interrupted by a curious coworker peeking around the corner with a puzzled expression. The secret is out as his colleague spots the intricate floral tattoo adorning his torso, leaving him completely paralyzed. Panic flares within the black-haired man as Liang Xiao offers a cheerful morning greeting, seemingly oblivious to his senior's distress. Liang Xiao beams with admiration, calling the ink cool, while the senior stands frozen in a state of sheer embarrassment. A painful memory surfaces of the senior's rebellious past, where his family harshly criticized his choice to get tattooed. Despite his internal turmoil, the senior offers a subtle, sweating smile of gratitude toward his younger coworker's unexpected acceptance. As Liang Xiao heads back to the office, the senior remains behind, reflecting on how strange the encounter felt. Liang Xiao departs with quick steps, leaving the locker room behind as the senior finishes preparing for work. From the shadows of the hallway, Liang Xiao casts a final, thoughtful look back at his departing senior. Slumped at his desk, the senior feels utterly defeated now that his carefully guarded secret has been exposed. He agonizes over potential rumors, burying his face in his hands as the weight of the situation crushes him. Noticing a breakfast set on Liang Xiao's desk, the senior watches intently from his own station across the room. He questions his own motives for the anonymous gift, hoping the kid won't realize who provided the meal. Colleagues tease Liang Xiao about his pretty lady admirer, completely unaware of the true source of the breakfast. Liang Xiao examines the sandwich with a knowing smirk while the senior stays busy at his desk, avoiding eye contact. Claiming it was likely a mistake, Liang Xiao decides to eat the meal anyway to avoid letting it go to waste. Retreating to a quiet corner, the senior tries to reassure himself that his tattoo doesn't violate any company policies. His solitude is broken when Liang Xiao suddenly appears, waving a casual greeting that catches the senior off guard. Liang Xiao pauses to look over a small snack, his presence once again unsettling the senior's quiet moment. The younger man inquires why his senior prefers to hide away in isolated spots like the office library. The senior makes a quick excuse about not wanting his smoking habit to bother the women in the department. Liang Xiao flashes a bright, charming smile, claiming he feels the exact same way about his own bricks. Observing his junior, the senior suspects that Liang Xiao has only recently picked up the habit of smoking. Liang Xiao suggests a more informal relationship, asking to be called by his name since they are close in age. As Liang Xiao prepares to leave, he stops and turns back to share one final, crucial observation with his senior. He leans in to reveal that the senior's tattoo is actually visible through the fabric of his light-colored shirt. With a flirtatious undertone, Liang Xiao whispers that at least he is the one who gets to see it. The senior is left standing in shocked silence, his mind racing at the audacity of his junior's intimate comment. Rushing to a mirror, he realizes with horror that his secret has been on display for everyone to see. A gloom settles over him as he reviews Liang Xiao's impressive resume, feeling overshadowed by the younger man's success. He sighs at his desk, lamenting that he has spent 7 more years in the world than Liang Xiao, without purpose. Late that night, a series of knocks heralds the arrival of Liang Xiao, who enters the office with takeout. To show his appreciation for the morning's breakfast, Liang Xiao presents a variety of dinner options for the senior. Tension grips the senior as he realizes his junior saw right through his anonymous breakfast bribe from earlier. Despite the senior's cautious inquiries, Liang Xiao remains firm, exuding a quiet authority that rivals a high-level executive. The senior reluctantly agrees to eat, noting Liang Xiao's specific preference for Western cuisine as they settle in. A gentle sound echoes as Liang Xiao sets down a drink, leaving the senior confused by his junior's behavior. The senior realizes the meal has gone cold and stares at the boxed lunch with a look of concern. He asks if the food was ever heated, noticing the chilled state of the cheesy meat sauce. Explaining that the meal won't be enjoyable cold, the senior gestures toward the office pantry and its microwave. He offers to lead the way, but Liang Xiao follows with a surprisingly hesitant and sheepish demeanor. To the senior's utter disbelief, the highly educated Liang Xiao admits he has no idea how to use a microwave. Liang Xiao bashfully explains his fear of the boxes exploding, leading the senior to conclude the man cannot cook. They arrive in the stylish office break room, ready to finally prepare their late-night meal together. The senior patiently demonstrates how to set the timer for 90 seconds while Liang Xiao nods along attentively. As they wait, Liang Xiao reassures his senior that his secret tattoo is safe and won't be exposed. The black-haired man expresses sincere gratitude for the secret being kept, explaining that others would find his tattoo abnormal. While the senior admits he regrets the ink, Liang Xiao privately thinks the floral design is actually quite beautiful. Leaning in close, Liang Xiao warns his senior that the process of removing such a tattoo is incredibly painful. The senior gulps nervously as Liang Xiao details the potential medical complications that come with removing large pieces of ink. To ease his senior's anxiety, Liang Xiao suggests he simply avoid letting anyone get too close to him physically. With a sudden, possessive intensity, Liang Xiao asserts that he should be the only one allowed to be that close. A heavy silence falls between them as they share an intimate, lingering gaze that heightens the tension in the room. Breaking the mood, Liang Xiao claims he was joking and announces he will be eating lunch at his desk. Before leaving, Liang Xiao stops to inquire how his senior usually manages the company's mandatory annual health checkups. The senior explains his private process, leading Liang Xiao to eagerly request that they go to the hospital together. Liang Xiao wonders aloud if their shared secrets will finally help his senior stop being so afraid of him. As the senior works, he reflects on how their relationship has undergone a subtle, undeniable change since that conversation. Following a quick knock, Liang Xiao appears with a smile to invite his senior to try a popular dumpling shop. The senior agrees, and soon their shared lunch breaks become a frequent, comforting routine for the two of them. At the restaurant, the senior enjoys the delicious dumplings while a warm, affectionate atmosphere settles over their table. Tasting the food brings back fond memories of the senior's childhood visits to the market with his mother. While the senior mentions not visiting home in a decade, Liang Xiao watches him with a soft, content expression. Realizing his tattoo is visible through his shirt, the senior quickly dons his blazer while Liang Xiao watches curiously. The senior fretfully recalls a coffee spill that forced him to send his other blazer to the dry cleaners. Liang Xiao offers his own coat, but the senior firmly declines, insisting he is healthy enough to handle the cold. To the senior's surprise, Liang Xiao reveals he is wearing high-quality cashmere thermals to stay warm beneath his shirt. Observing his junior, the senior marvels at how Liang Xiao stays so stylish and slim despite wearing multiple layers. A happy sound punctuates the air as Liang Xiao cheerfully compliments the senior on how well the blazer suits him. Blushing slightly, the senior finds himself begrudgingly admitting that his younger coworker is actually a very good person. Liang Xiao opens the door to a new restaurant, though the senior worries about the junior's lack of thriftiness. While they enjoy a seafood meal, the senior notes that his meal buddy doesn't seem to care about costs. Liang Xiao takes the bill, gently chiding the senior for being far too strict with his own spending habits. The senior explains his financial burden from a home loan, leading Liang Xiao to give him a thoughtful look. Watching his junior, the senior worries that Liang Xiao might be an extravagant influence on his carefully managed life. Despite the pressure of his loan, the senior decides it's okay to splurge and enjoy himself once in a while. Walking through the snow, Liang Xiao reminds his senior about the upcoming deadline for the company health check reports. The senior is puzzled why Liang Xiao is so insistent on going together instead of using the free company checkup. He wonders if Liang Xiao has a secret illness, noting that the younger man seems perfectly healthy and fit. A teary, chibi version of Liang Xiao pops into the senior's mind as he imagines various embarrassing physical defects. Shaking off his wild theories, the senior agrees to meet on New Year's Day, since they both have work off. Liang Xiao confirms an early meeting at the clinic, leaving the senior curious about the secret his junior is hiding. On a bright New Year's morning, the tired senior arrives at the large hospital for their scheduled checkup appointment. A series of yawns escape the senior as he spots Liang Xiao, who offers a bright and energetic morning greeting. The senior wonders how Liang Xiao arrived so early, only to learn the junior lives right across from the hospital. Heading inside for blood tests, the senior suggests they can go their separate ways once the main procedures are done. Noticing Liang Xiao has become unusually quiet, the senior worries he has been acting too naggy during their walk. Liang Xiao suddenly asks if the senior is still afraid of him or if he's forgotten about their shared secret. As they walk, Liang Xiao thanks his senior for being a considerate person who doesn't pry into others' lives. The senior blushes and remains silent as Liang Xiao leans in close, his presence becoming intensely focused and intimate. With a gentle, sincere look, Liang Xiao tells the senior that he feels truly lucky to have met him. As his ears turn red, the senior listens as Liang Xiao asks if he can finally reveal his big secret. Standing outside the blood sampling room, Liang Xiao sheepishly confesses his deep, paralyzing fear of needles and blood. The senior is left speechless, realizing that the intimidating junior is actually terrified of a simple medical procedure. Inside the room, a nurse prepares the needle, while a worried senior watches Liang Xiao become visibly tense and pale. As the nurse rubs his arm, Liang Xiao's distress is obvious, making the senior realize just how abnormal his fear is. The senior notices his junior's intense trembling, realizing the younger man's fear of needles is truly paralyzing. Squatting down, the senior gently suggests that Liang Xiao look at something else to distract himself from the procedure. The black-haired man flashes a dazzling smile, charmingly proposing that his junior focus all his attention on him instead. Maintaining his warm expression, the senior playfully assures Liang Xiao he can stare as long as he doesn't laugh. In a tearful chibi moment, the senior wonders why no one is helping him as he gestures towards social buttons. A romantic title card depicts the two men sharing an umbrella, marking a deepening connection in their relationship. As the nurse prepares his arm, Liang Xiao desperately wishes for the procedure to end so he can return to work. Clang! A sudden, panicked movement from Liang Xiao sends medical supplies scattering across the floor in a noisy, clattering mess. Sweating and pale, the junior profusely apologizes for his involuntary reflex while the senior watches his overwhelming distress. The nurse suggests a temporary break, noting that Liang Xiao's intense physical reaction is making the blood draw impossible. Reaching out to steady his junior, the senior asks if he feels dizzy while providing much-needed physical support. When Liang Xiao insists he doesn't need syrup, the senior finds the man's stubborn yet childish behavior unexpectedly cute. Reflecting on phobias, the senior admits he understands strange fears, confessing that even a small cat makes him numb. Looking slightly more relaxed, the brown-haired junior simply agrees as he processes the senior's honest admission about his own fears. Sitting together, the senior asks what Liang Xiao intended to reveal before the chaotic interruption of the blood draw. To their mutual shock, both men reveal they possess the extremely rare giant panda Rh-negative AB blood type. The senior laughs, teasingly calling himself a live blood bag that can now sustain his junior in any emergency. Motivated by their shared secret, Liang Xiao suddenly stands up, declaring he is finally calm enough to face the needle. The senior stares in bewilderment at the chibi junior, puzzled by how quickly the younger man regained his courage. Tension returns as Liang Xiao sits back down, his body stiffening once again as he prepares for the procedure. To ease the junior's fear, the senior leans in and covers Liang Xiao's eyes with his warm, steady hands. Leaning back into the senior's touch, the junior finally relaxes, finding safety and comfort in his senior's gentle proximity. With his eyes covered, Liang Xiao marvels at how quickly his heart rate has settled just from being touched. Observing his junior up close, the senior finds himself distracted by how long and delicate Liang Xiao's eyelashes appear. The scene shifts to an ultrasound room where the senior prepares for the next stage of his health checkup. Following the nurse's instructions, the senior prepares to remove his coat and pull up his clothes for the scan. Pull! The senior lifts his shirt, and Liang Xiao catches a brief, tantalizing glimpse of the hidden floral tattoo. Lying on the table, the senior fully reveals the intricate ink on his waist while the medical exam proceeds. Liang Xiao beats a hasty retreat from the room, looking visibly flustered by the intimate sight of his senior's tattoo. Resting after his own exam, the black-haired man wonders why he felt the need to hide from another man. Sunlight shines over the massive hospital complex as the two colleagues finally conclude their long day of medical appointments. Stretching with relief, the senior celebrates the end of the grueling checkup while his junior watches him with affection. Liang Xiao takes a bold step, asking if he can drop the formalities and call his senior big brother. The senior admits he is comfortable with the term, even though his own younger brother is far too rebellious. Pointing toward a nearby residential building, the senior changes the subject to their proximity to his own home. He describes the beautiful sunlight and views from his 19th floor apartment, while the junior listens with quiet, intense interest. Walking away, the senior finds himself planning a special meal for the man he now considers a lovely colleague. Liang Xiao pauses at the gate, offering a polite apology for the long day before preparing to head back. Realizing how close they are, the senior invites his junior inside for a meal, reluctant to end their time. Liang Xiao politely declines the invitation, promising to visit officially next time as he waves a cheerful goodbye. Ding dong! A persistent doorbell rouses the exhausted senior from a deep sleep after 12 straight days of work. Stumbling toward the door in a daze, he wonders if he accidentally ordered a delivery in his sleep-deprived state. The senior's jaw drops as he opens the door to find Liang Xiao standing right there in the hallway. Liang Xiao reveals the incredible coincidence that he has just moved into the exact same floor in the opposite block. Inviting him in, the senior marvels at the junior's wealth, noting that the larger 3-bedroom units are quite extravagant. As he pours a glass of water, the senior curiously inquires about the high rent in such a luxury building. The senior is nearly speechless when Liang Xiao casually mentions that he purchased the expensive apartment with a full payment. Liang Xiao explains that the movers just finished, and the previous owner had already beautifully renovated the entire place. Thinking his junior might need a rest, the senior suggests leaving, but Liang Xiao's expression remains hopeful and eager. The senior's offer to help unpack brings a joyful, bunny-eared chibi reaction from the clearly delighted Liang Xiao. The black-haired man offers to cook a few dishes, asking if the new house has basic kitchen tools. He prepares to bring over fresh ingredients, intent on creating a warm atmosphere for his junior's move. Liang Xiao is delighted by the help, and the two colleagues head toward the kitchen to start dinner. Amidst moving boxes, the senior busily cooks while his junior helps by stirring ingredients in the cluttered apartment. In a chibi moment, the senior tells the clumsy Liang Xiao to leave the cooking to the professional. Tossing him aside playfully, The black-haired man tells his junior to focus on cleaning the table instead. The meal is ready, and Liang Xiao suggests eating on the floor to enjoy the soft new carpet. Sits. The senior settles onto the plush rug, marveling at the luxury and wondering about its difficult maintenance. Strokes. He runs his hand over the white wool, musing that his affluent junior likely hires professional cleaners. Pop. Liang Xiao cracks open a cold can of beer as they finally sit down for their meal. The senior cautions him not to overindulge since they have work tomorrow and more unpacking to finish later. Smiling brightly, the brown-haired man expresses his heartfelt gratitude for his senior's kindness and help with the move. Feeling embarrassed, the senior jokes about being lured into a wolf's lair before discussing the district's minor inconveniences. He mentions the crowded area and frequent water issues while passing a bowl to his quiet, attentive junior. Liang Xiao reveals he previously lived with his parents, making this independent move a significant lifestyle change. Buzz. A sudden call from an unknown number interrupts their peaceful dinner, drawing Liang Xiao's immediate, wary attention. Noting the persistent buzzing, the senior suggests that his junior go ahead and answer the presumably important call. Liang Xiao answers, only to be met with a loud, garbled argument in a foreign language on the line. The senior listens to the unintelligible shouting, wondering about the language and the identity of the angry caller. Beep. Hanging up, Liang Xiao bluntly explains it was his ex-partner calling to ask for money yet again. The black-haired man remains silent, surprised by the sudden mention of an ex and the junior's blunt honesty. To lighten the mood, Liang Xiao plays his favorite CD, letting soft music fill the high-rise apartment. The senior realizes they share the same music taste, feeling they might be even more compatible than he thought. Curious, the senior asks just how wealthy Liang Xiao is to be supporting an ex-partner's financial needs. Liang Xiao clarifies that he refuses to pay, which is why the persistent and annoying calls never stop. Quickly pivoting, the junior praises the delicious food to move the conversation away from his unpleasant past relationship. The senior encourages him to try the potato stir-fry, relieved to let the awkward subject of the ex drop. Chibi Liang Xiao enthusiastically devours the meal while the senior warns him to eat slowly and avoid choking. Liang Xiao proudly declares that his big brother is simply the best, his admiration for the senior growing. The senior blushes at the excessive flattery, feeling slightly overwhelmed by his junior's open and sincere affection. He opens up about his own past breakup, describing how his long-term feelings for a college girlfriend eventually faded. Looking somber, he reflects on how spending time together is no guarantee that a romantic connection will survive. The senior admits that being alone feels liberating, and that having a nice home is his primary motivation now. Spill! A glass of juice tips over, creating a sudden, sticky mess on the table during their deep conversation. Liang Xiao reaches out to wipe the senior's hand, his touch lingering in a moment of unexpected, quiet intimacy. Wipe! The junior remains focused on cleaning the spill while the gentle music continues to play in the background. Feeling flushed from the alcohol, the senior is suddenly startled by a large blue lizard resting on a shelf. He realizes the creature is real as its eye rolls toward him, sending a shock through his body. Liang Xiao introduces Marx, his 4-year-old blue iguana, mentioning he has several other pets yet to be moved. The junior admits his pets were his only constant companions during his lonely years spent living far away abroad. The senior assumes the ex-partner was also a foreigner, finding his junior to be a surprisingly sentimental person. He advises Liang Xiao to live boldly and not rush into marriage or repeat the mistakes of his past. He playfully warns the junior not to let romance interfere with the work assignments he gives him at the office. Liang Xiao admits he isn't interested in others because he is already pursuing the one person he truly likes. The senior encourages his junior to go for it, completely unaware that he is the focus of those feelings. Liang Xiao decides it is time to reveal a secret he has kept hidden since they first met at work. The two men lock eyes, the air between them growing heavy with the weight of an impending, serious confession. Liang Xiao courageously reveals that his orientation is different and that the person he likes is not a woman. He adds that he won't confess just yet, fearing that his honest feelings will only lead to immediate failure. A troubled look crosses the senior's face as he processes the gravity of his junior's deeply personal revelation. The brown-haired man asks his senior if his confession about his orientation has changed their relationship. Looking contemplative, the black-haired man explains he is simply considering the best way to encourage his junior. Liang Xiao admits the senior reminds him of his brother, though his senior is much more gentle. Ye Jian inquires about his family, prompting Liang Xiao to mention an older brother 9 years his senior. The junior somberly reveals his brother's passing years ago, before the scene shifts to the senior pouring drinks. Liang Xiao describes his brother's escape from hardship, though he personally looks down on those who give up. Taking a sip, Yi Jian privately worries if he has expressed too much negativity in front of the kid. The black-haired man asks if Liang Xiao is upset, and the junior admits to feeling a little troubled. Ye Jian wonders why his junior is still smiling despite the heavy subject matter they are discussing. A quiet moment passes between them before the senior reaches out to gently touch the brown-haired man's chin. The senior caresses his junior's face, telling him he doesn't have to share feelings if he doesn't want to. Looking into his junior's eyes, the black-haired man offers a soft, supportive smile and encourages him to be himself. Caress, Ye Jian continues the gentle touch, causing Liang Xiao to blush and wonder if his senior is drunk. Withdraws. By his own casual touch, the senior pulls away, while Liang Xiao decides to act sad. The senior assumes his junior is hiding his pain and encourages the younger man to stop pretending. They sit on the floor while Ye Jian mentions that coworkers are already gossiping about their close bond. Liang Xiao smiles as he realizes his senior is actually concerned about their reputation and professional image. Ye Jian explains he only worries about his tattoo because of the company's stereotypical and prude chairman. The black-haired man reasons that he shouldn't be fired simply for being friends with a younger colleague. Liang Xiao struggles to hold in his laughter while the senior asks if he said something strange. Wiping a mock tear, the senior laughs at his own weirdness while his junior watches him with affection. Liang Xiao begins unpacking boxes with a cutter before the scene shifts to him carrying more heavy items. Ding! While helping him unpack, the black-haired man finds a Sherlock Holmes book and smiles at the discovery. The black-haired man stares intently at his phone, his face bathed in the screen's light during a quiet moment. Tap tap, Liang Xiao waits while his senior washes dishes, questioning why such a simple task is taking so long. Yi Jian stresses over an upcoming 10:30 meeting, realizing they must hurry to make it to the office. Relieved, the brown-haired man says he will call for a car to ensure they arrive at work on time. Ye Jian asks about the junior's expensive car while Liang Xiao looks confused as they prepare to leave. The senior mentions seeing Liang Xiao at Xinguang World and questions how he actually afforded his new house. Giving up on the interrogation for now, the black-haired man tells him to just call for the car. At night, Ye Jian waits by a red car until Liang Xiao returns with a stack of files. They load the car's trunk together before the senior settles into the seat with a quiet word of thanks. Inside the car, Liang Xiao complains about this stubborn old man calling them into the office so late. Yi Jian suggests his junior take a nap as a loud vroom echoes from the car speeding away. Liang Xiao falls asleep on his senior's shoulder, creating a ticklish sensation that the black-haired man finds distracting. Exhale. Watching his junior sleep, Yi Jian reflects that the younger man's orientation doesn't change their deep bond. Grasp! The sleeping junior clutches his senior's coat, while the older man muses on how much Liang Xiao relies on him. At a late-night meeting, an executive announces a new project in Moscow that requires 6 staff members. Yi Tian is surprised to hear his name called, while his junior looks over at him with a startled expression.
The black-haired man accepts the role of team leader, his expression shifting to one of professional focus and resolve.
A colleague hands over the staff list, and Ye Jian is shocked to find Liang Sha's name on it. Sunlight gleams over the airport as a plane takes off, carrying the team toward their new assignment. On the plane, a staff member directs Supervisor Ye Jian toward his seat in the economy section. Ye Jian offers a polite thanks while Liang Xiao follows closely behind him, carrying his own luggage. A colleague thanks the junior for his help as Liang Xiao reaches up to stow a bag overhead. Concerned about the freezing Moscow weather, the senior asks if his junior brought enough warm clothes for the trip. Liang Xiao insists on lifting the heavy suitcase for his senior, effortlessly stowing it in the overhead bin. Close. After securing the luggage, Yi Jian tells his junior to settle in and take a good rest. Whoosh! A van drives through the snowy streets of Moscow as the team finally arrives in the cold city. Clack! Inside the car, Yi Jian checks his phone while Liang Xiao gazes out at the refreshing, snowy landscape. Liang Xiao confirms he slept on the plane as Ye Jian asks about his jet lag in the car.
In the rearview mirror, the black-haired man reflects on the junior's adjustment during their snowy drive to Moscow.
Gazing out at the refreshing, snowy landscape, the brown-haired man enjoys the quiet start to their international assignment. Ye Jian wonders if his junior is enchanted by the snow, noting how Liang Xiao is focused on the view. The senior mentions they must start working tomorrow, his expression thoughtful as they travel through the cold city night. Colleagues in the back seat admire the beautiful snow and castle, feeling excited about their new surroundings in Russia. Yi Jian types a message on his phone, the screen's soft light bathing his face in a quiet, modern moment. Send. A finger taps the screen as entering the suite, the black-haired man questions why the junior keeps the modern room so brightly lit at night. Clack. A hand secures the door latch as they settle into the habit of these late-night personal discussions. The junior looks back with a weary expression, his silent gaze hinting at the deep exhaustion weighing on him. Yi Jian observes his junior carefully, pointing out that the younger man was clearly still awake moments ago. Confronting the situation directly, the black-haired senior asks when Liang Xiao began relying on sleeping pills to find rest. Sits. The junior takes a seat on the bed as the conversation shifts toward his concerning health and habits. Ye Jian probes further into the past, questioning if a specific event triggered the junior's persistent and severe insomnia. In the quiet of the hotel room, the two men face each other, the tension of their discussion lingering. A cheerful chibi Liang Xiao peeks into the senior's room, brightly offering to share breakfast before their workday starts. In a heartwarming flashback, the chibi duo enjoys a quiet meal together, showcasing their close and supportive professional bond. The chibi senior looks annoyed while being squeezed against other commuters during a particularly cramped and uncomfortable subway ride. Looking utterly drained, chibi Ye Jian struggles with the intense fatigue brought on by their demanding Moscow work schedule. Chibi Liang Xiao explains his car issues on the subway while imagining a grumpy red vehicle being sent for maintenance. The chibi colleagues work side by side on their laptops, their shared focus creating a productive atmosphere despite the late hour. Yi Jian falls asleep at the table after questioning why his junior moved so far away from the office. Noticing his senior is asleep, Chibi Liang Xiao tenderly covers him with a jacket to ensure he stays warm. The junior watches his mentor sleep, reflecting on the personal sacrifices he made just to be near him. A dramatic image of the pair appears, accompanied by a final, soft wish of good night to the junior. Peeks. Ye Jian checks on his junior in bed, curious if his plan to help him sleep is working.
The senior lies awake in the darkness, his mind occupied by concern for the junior's mental and physical well-being.
In the warm light of the bedside lamp, the black-haired man hopes his presence provides the comfort needed. Liang Xiao remains awake, staring at his senior and questioning if the older man has finally fallen into sleep. Keeping his eyes shut, Ye Jian insists that he is finished talking for the night and wants to rest. The junior makes a nervous request for his senior to turn away, hoping to ease the bedtime tension. Yi Jian questions the request while a small chibi head of the junior looks on with a determined expression. The senior agrees to turn over, but only if the junior promises to close his eyes and sleep immediately. Facing the other way, Yi Jian worries that his presence is actually making his junior more restless and uneasy. The black-haired man reflects on the awkwardness of the situation, feeling that a subordinate would naturally avoid their superior. A hand grips the pillow tightly, revealing the internal struggle and unspoken emotions shared between the two men. Liang Xiao gazes at the back of his senior's neck, his eyes focused on the intricate and striking tattoos. Breaking the silence, the junior softly asks for a hug, seeking the safety and comfort of his senior's embrace. Yi Jian looks back with a serious expression, asking if such physical closeness will truly help him find sleep. With a tender and honest smile, Liang Xiao admits that being held would make him feel incredibly warm. The senior takes a deep breath, clearly moved by the vulnerability and directness of his junior's heartfelt request. Creaks, the mattress sounds as the junior moves closer, his intention to bridge the distance between them clear. Liang Xiao's arms wrap securely around the senior's waist, bringing them together in a close and intimate embrace. Resting his head against his senior, the brown-haired man finds a sense of peace he has long been seeking. Stiff, Ye Jian freezes momentarily at the contact, surprised by the junior's forwardness and the intensity of the hug. The junior confesses his love for his senior's tattoos, finding them beautiful and admiring every detail while they hug. Yi Jian urges him to stop talking and rest, though the junior admits that sleep still feels far away. Liang Xiao continues to share his interests, noting how much he likes the same music as his respected senior. The junior's quiet confessions continue as he drifts closer to sleep, finding comfort in their shared world and closeness. Finally relaxing, Liang Xiao says goodnight as the senior responds with a soft, confirming mumble in return. The brown-haired man asks for one last goodnight, his eyes closed as he finally begins to drift off. With a gentle expression, the black-haired senior whispers back a final goodnight to the now sleeping younger man. The two men lie together in a peaceful embrace, the day's tensions finally replaced by a shared, quiet rest. Despite his success in comforting his junior, Yi Jian realizes his own sleep will be difficult to find now. A final, glowing message bids a good night to Liang Xiao, marking the conclusion of their emotionally charged night. The scene provides a final look at the quiet room where the two colleagues are now resting peacefully together. Liang Xiao begins to mumble in Russian while he sleeps, revealing a hidden side of himself in his dreams. Startled by the sudden foreign speech, the senior opens his eyes and looks at the sleeping junior in wonder. Yi Jian watches his junior with a thoughtful expression, curious about the secrets the younger man keeps while asleep. In his sleep, Liang Xiao mumbles a frustrated command for someone to get lost. The senior leans in close, listening as his junior begins sleep-talking in fluent, rapid-fire Russian. Yi Jian radiates a powerful, silent energy while sitting on the bed beside his sleeping colleague. A sudden movement breaks the quiet as the junior's hand reaches out to push his senior away. In a sudden shift, Liang Xiao's arms wrap tightly around his senior, pulling him into a secure embrace. The junior clings tightly to his mentor, finding comfort in the physical closeness of their shared bed. Yi Jian feels a faint blush creep onto his face as he decides to simply settle in and sleep. A loud, persistent knocking at the door echoes through the modern suite as the clock strikes 8:43 a.m. Jolts up, startled by the sudden noise and the voice calling from the hallway. Yi Jian sits upright. The senior covers his face, privately wondering if something significant transpired between them during the night. Liang Xiao sits up and calls out a sharp confirmation to the person waiting outside the door. Standing in the hallway, the woman bangs on the door with a desperate, frantic energy. Sits up. A grumpy, chibi Liang Xiao appears, looking completely irritable and exhausted in the early morning light. Standing by the glass bathroom, the black-haired senior urges his junior to hurry and prepare for the day. Yi Jian worries about how he will hide his prominent rose tattoos in the freezing hotel hallway. The junior questions his mentor, while the senior insists they must leave by 9 a.m. for their meeting. Despite the early hour, Liang Xiao seems to be enjoying himself, wearing a satisfied and playful smile. Propping up his chin, the junior notes how comfortable sleep is, his words carrying a suggestive hidden meaning. Ye Jian nervously scratches his neck, confirming his junior's sentiment before making a quick, awkward exit. As they walk, Liang Xiao notes the cold hallway while holding his senior's jacket ready for him. The black-haired man pauses, a thoughtful and silent expression crossing his handsome features. Buttoning up his shirt, Ye Jian privately notes his junior's consideration while a cheerful chibi Liang Xiao chirps. Opens. The senior swings the door wide and tells the younger man to go wash up immediately. Ye Jian freezes in shock as he finds the same woman from earlier standing directly in his path. The woman looks completely starstruck and flustered, her eyes sparkling as she catches sight of the senior. Liang Xiao smoothly leans in, creating a believable excuse about borrowing a razor to diffuse the awkward tension. Standing together against the Moscow skyline, the two colleagues present a formidable and stylish professional front. Ye Jian enters the room, offering a session of hypnosis as a reward for the day's hard work. With a soft blush, the brown-haired junior gratefully accepts the senior's offer for help with his sleep. The two men rest peacefully together in the large bed, finally finding the quiet they both need. Over the following days, the hypnosis proves effective as a phone vibrates rhythmically on the bedside table. Ye Jian lies awake, watching the junior and hoping the vibrating phone doesn't get smashed in frustration. Nuzzling into his senior's chest, Liang Xiao complains about the annoying vibration disturbing their peaceful rest. The senior reflects on the ending trip, fearing he might inherit his junior's insomnia once they return home. Snowflakes drift down through the dark Moscow night, blanketing the towering skyscrapers in a soft white layer. Clink! The team raises their glasses in a joyous toast, celebrating the successful conclusion of their mission. Cheers and laughter fill the air as the colleagues indulge in a well-deserved celebration in a foreign land. Ye Jian cautions the group to drink less before tomorrow's flight, privately worrying about the city's night safety. Looking slightly flushed from the alcohol, Liang Xiao reaches out and asks his senior for the glass. In a chaotic chibi scene, the junior becomes rowdy and energetic, much to the surprise of his coworkers. Standing up from the booth, Liang Xiao announces his intention to head to the bathroom for a moment. Looking up with a smirk, Ye Jian questions if he'll be expected to carry the junior back later. Sometime later, Liang Xiao is found passed out on the bench, mumbling a soft call for his senior. The silent, snowy street stands empty under the glow of city lights as the late hour settles in. Buzz buzz! An unattended phone vibrates on a messy table covered in snacks and an empty wine bottle. Taking a call, Yi Jian looks concerned as he questions where their colleague has disappeared to. The senior instructs the woman to watch their things while he heads out to find their missing teammate. Wrapped in a long coat, Yi Jian walks alone through the snow-covered streets of the quiet city. Turning into a dark alleyway, he discovers a group of men standing over a figure lying on the ground.
A blonde-haired man with piercing green eyes gazes coldly while holding a lit cigarette in the winter air. Shocked, the black-haired Liang Xiao stares ahead as a finality settles over the tense night scene. Looking down into the snowy alley, Yi Jian spots a group of men surrounding a fallen figure. Deputy Director Chen lies bruised in the snow while Yi Jian demands the thugs release his injured friend. The group of men roughly hoist the dazed official up, following the senior's firm, cold command. The blonde-haired Roman gazes back with a cold, piercing intensity while smoke drifts from his lit cigarette. Beads of nervous sweat form on Ye Jian's face as he stands his ground against the intimidating group. Confronting the gang, the senior warns that robbing foreigners will only lead to unwanted trouble for them. Roman throws his head back in mocking laughter, clearly unimpressed by the senior's attack at negotiation. Yi Jian feels a wave of anxiety, lamenting that such a dangerous encounter happened right before their departure. Following the sound of footsteps, Liang Xiao arrives in the alley and asks if his senior is all right. The two colleagues stand side by side, their united presence shifting the power dynamic in the snowy street. Turning to the blonde man, Liang Xiao calls him Roman and asks if he truly wants to return to prison. A flash of anger crosses Roman's face, his green eyes narrowing at the mention of his past incarceration. Watching the silent exchange, Yi Jian wonders if his junior and the dangerous stranger are actually old acquaintances. Roman irritably flicks his cigarette away, his expression darkening as the tension between the men reaches its peak. Confused by the sudden shift in atmosphere, Yi Jian admits he cannot understand what is being said. Liang Xiao questions Roman's lingering resentment, asking if his nightly harassment isn't enough to satisfy his hatred. Bursting with emotion, Roman shouts a fragmented, desperate plea in Russian while gripping his fist in frustration. Liang Xiao reveals he knew about the tracking, while a stunned Ye Jian questions when this surveillance began. Observing the raw volatility of the blonde man, Yi Jian privately concludes that Roman is an extremely dangerous individual. A close-up of a phone reveals a recording in progress, serving as potential evidence for their safety later. Liang Xiao coldly asks Roman if a year of freedom has changed anything for the former prisoner. Roman stares at the junior, admitting he hoped their paths would never cross again after their shared past. Grabbing Liang Xiao's jacket, the blonde man demands to know what the younger man plans to do next. A momentary vision of the two colleagues in sleek suits provides a sharp contrast to the cold alley. When Roman pleads for a return to New York together, Liang Xiao forcefully shoves the blonde man away. Roman mentions his new resident status, but Liang Xiao tells him to return to his life alone. A look of deep pain and rejection washes over Roman as he stands frozen in the falling snow. Yi Jian remains silent, his sharp gaze fixed on the junior who seems to hold all the cards. Roman mumbles a quiet, unintelligible phrase in Russian as he prepares to yield to the junior's authority. Yi Jian realizes Liang Xiao spoke English specifically so his senior could understand the entire confrontation. Roman makes a final, possessive claim over Liang Xiao before agreeing to release the captured official. With a sharp look, Roman signals his men to relinquish their hold on the terrified deputy director. The purple-haired thug shoves the dazed old man toward the waiting arms of his rescuers. The gang members stand back, watching with unreadable expressions as their leader finally backs down. Standing tall, Liang Xiao demands a formal apology from the group for the harm they caused Chen. The thugs exchange looks of annoyance, but Roman's influence forces them to comply with the demand. Bowing low, the men offer a sincere apology in Russian, while Liang Xiao supports the unconscious official. Yi Jian watches in disbelief as the situation de-escalates, the danger finally fading into the night. The junior instructs his senior to take the injured deputy director Chen back to safety immediately. Liang Xiao carries the heavy burden of his colleague,
noting the brief window of safety they now have.
Leaning in close, the junior tells Ye Jian to find them quickly once the official is secured.
Yi Jian warns Liang Xiao not to follow the dangerous blonde man or do anything reckless tonight. Roman stands alone, his long hair dusted with snow, as he watches the two men walk away. With a gentle, reassuring smile, Liang Xiao tells his seniors not to worry about the lingering threat. The senior turns his back on the alley, his mind racing with questions about his junior's secret life. Hoisting the official onto his back, Yi Jian wonders if they can truly rest easy after this encounter. Reaching the street, Ye Jian reports the incident to the local authorities waiting near the hotel. The officer speaks in Russian, while the woman translates that the local police won't touch Roman. Ye Jian realizes that Roman is a powerful local hegemon as snow blankets the quiet Moscow skyscrapers. Standing alone in the cold, the black-haired man grows frustrated while waiting for his companion to finally arrive. Ignoring the warnings of security, Yi Jian sprints toward a restricted zone as a violent situation begins to unfold. Driven by a desperate need to protect his junior, the senior refuses to allow any harm to come to him. A thud sounding as Ye Jian bursts through the door to find Liang Xiao being violently choked by attackers. A pained grunt sounding as the brown-haired man is beaten and pinned down by several aggressive, hostile men. Seething with anger, the black-haired man removes his coat and prepares to confront the bastards hurting his partner. A heavy thud sounding as Yi Jian delivers a powerful blow to a bald attacker's head in the snow. With clinical efficiency, the senior continues the fight, knocking another man to the ground with a precise kick. Standing over the defeated group, Yi Jian checks on his junior, whose shirt has been ripped in the struggle. Liang Xiao looks up with a mixture of shock and anger, questioning why the senior returned to the brawl. A bald man grabs the senior from behind, mockingly addressing him while referencing his junior by name. After fighting off his attacker, Ye Jian watches as a police car arrives with its sirens blaring through the night. Handcuffed and defeated, a blonde man is placed into the back of the police vehicle as officers secure the scene. Walking away from the flashing lights, the two men leave the snowy confrontation behind to seek safety elsewhere. Noticing his junior's exposed skin, Ye Jian insists that the younger man wears his heavy coat for warmth. The senior fusses over the junior's torn clothes, while Liang Xiao notes that the older man was well layered. After being separated for processing, the black-haired man finds himself being led into a secure and grim detention area. A quick click sounding as a gloved hand entered a numeric code to unlock a heavy metal door. Entering the cell, Yi Jian is greeted by the intimidating stares of several large inmates waiting on the bunks. Sometime later, a guard leads the senior out of the holding cell to reunite with his waiting junior. Liang Xiao waits outside with bandages on his face, looking relieved to see his senior finally being released. Exhaling a tired breath, Yi Jian reflects on the ordeal and concludes that the test has been passed. Handing over a bundle of clothing, the senior returns the junior's coat as they prepare to depart the facility. A bespectacled older man expresses his sincere gratitude, promising to invite the pair to dinner for their bravery. The two men politely decline the offer, wishing only to put the night's stressful events behind them. Observing his junior's somber expression, the black-haired man wonders if the younger man is trapped in a bad mood. A few days later, a massive Airbus plane glides through the sky, marking the start of a new journey. Seated in the cabin, the senior looks out the window, lost in quiet contemplation during the long flight. Liang Xiao calls out to his senior, his gaze soft as they sit together in the peaceful airplane. Sensing unspoken distress, Ye Jian encourages his junior to share any worries or burdens he might be carrying. The brown-haired man admits he has been overthinking, afraid of saying something foolish or incomprehensible to his partner.
Recalling his youth, Liang Xiao describes a lonely home life where his mother lived in isolation from his brother.
The junior remembers being sent away at 14, living under a nanny's supervision, while his mother remained distant.
Liang Xiao's voice drops as he recounts finding his mother unconscious on the sofa with a syringe nearby.
He shares the tragic family history, describing his mother's overdose and his brother's subsequent suicide in New York. At 18, Liang Xiao returned home to find his then-partner Roman hosting a drug-fueled party on his carpet.
Taking decisive action, the younger man locked the door from the outside and immediately called the police.
Despite Roman's desperate pleas, Liang Xiao remained firm, refusing to let anyone die in his home as his mother had. Looking into his junior's eyes, Yi Jian warmly validates his difficult past choices, telling him he did the right thing. In a tender moment of care, the senior reaches up to adjust his junior's tie before they depart. Yi Jian reassures the younger man that it is natural to feel pain and not always be strong.
Deeply moved by the senior's unwavering support, Liang Xiao gazes at him with an expression of quiet, profound gratitude. Opening his arms, the black-haired man offers a comforting hug to help ease his junior's lingering heartache. Liang Xiao hesitates, gesturing weakly while admitting his current state of depression might make the hug feel ineffective.
The two men share a tight, emotional embrace, finding solace and strength in each other's presence. Leaning into the hug, the senior expresses his happiness at being trusted with such a personal and painful history. A soft, genuine smile touches the junior's lips as he finds comfort and acceptance in his partner's arms. Looking up with shimmering eyes, Liang Xiao suggestively asks his senior to return to bed for some rest. Stopping him mid-stride, Ye Jian pulls on his junior's hand, signaling that there is one more detail to address. With a playful smirk, the senior asks if the junior is still going to read him that emotional poem. Liang Xiao leans in close, whispering to his senior that he must listen very carefully. The junior recites poetry. Ye Jian listens with a thoughtful gaze as their intimate connection deepens.
A stylized speech bubble translates romantic Russian verses about love, divinity, and the inspiration of poetry. Yi Jian raises his hands defensively, admitting he translated the Russian verses himself before boarding their flight. Telling his junior to remain silent, Ye Jian wonders if they should finally go back to sleep.
Touching his lips, the black-haired senior looks at his junior with a soft, affectionate, and lingering blush.
Liang Xiao gazes back with intense eyes, softly addressing his senior as the romantic tension peaks.
Looking down with a troubled expression, a small visual effect signals the junior's inner emotional ache. A hand reaches for the junior's collar, startling him as he looks up with an open-mouthed expression. Yi Jian pulls the brown-haired man close, initiating a soft and romantic kiss amidst shimmering light. The two men share a deep embrace and a passionate kiss, fully acknowledging their mutual feelings. Pulling back slightly, the junior asks his senior if the intimate moment felt comfortable for him. Liang Xiao teasingly claims he can't kiss for too long because his senior might not handle it. Internally boasting about his swimming skills, Yi Jian is confident his lung capacity is more than sufficient. The junior advises taking their relationship slow to ensure their emotional and physical bond stays healthy.
Liang Xiao asks a bold question about a physiological reaction, suggesting they could test it together.
Ye Jian coughs nervously as the junior offers to let him touch and see for himself. Acting like a shy paper tiger, Liang Xiao suddenly pulls away and calls for a stop. Watching his junior leave, Ye Jian reflects on how the younger man has grown increasingly easily embarrassed.
Liang Xiao confidently claims he knows his senior has officially fallen in love with him at last.
Blushing deeply, Ye Jian reflects on how direct and bold young people are about their romantic intentions. With a playful smile, the senior claims he isn't actually an emotional kisser, despite the recent intensity. Liang Xiao shares deep thoughts on love and sympathy, advising caution as they move forward together.
Yi Jian agrees that love is complex, admitting he isn't fully psychologically prepared for a relationship yet.
With a gentle gaze, the junior promises to wait until his senior is truly ready for them. They agreed to a preparation phase. Liang Xiao firmly asks his senior not to date anyone else.
Ye Jian makes a surprising request, asking to be invited to his junior's house for 2 days.
The senior clarifies his invitation, questioning if the junior would actually like his neighborhood's conditions.
Liang Xiao finds cohabitation too fast, so Ye Jian offers to just help him sleep like before.
Yi Jian notes that they must work together to cultivate their relationship amidst their busy professional lives. Looking back with a satisfied smile, the brown-haired junior clearly enjoys the progress they've made together. Shifting to the city skyline, Director Yi is formally invited to meet with the company's chairman. Yi Jian knocks on the chairman's office door, worrying about potential punishment for their business trip.
Seated at his desk, the gray-haired chairman asks Ye Jian's honest opinion of the younger employees.
Ye Jian speaks highly of his team, praising the diligence and cleverness of his various junior colleagues.
The chairman highlights Liang Zhao's profile, questioning if his perceived arrogance makes him a bad employee.
Ye Jian staunchly defends his junior, arguing that true talent often comes with a proud personality. Clapping in approval, the chairman is impressed by Ye Jian's protective and nurturing attitude toward his team. Back at his desk, Yi Jian drinks water while Liang Xiao asks about the chairman's potentially embarrassing talk. The senior explains that the chairman was surprisingly kind, shattering their previous negative stereotypes of him. The two men stand side by side in the office, their shared experiences strengthening their professional bond. With a playful expression, Liang Xiao correctly guesses that his senior has something important to say. Yi Jian offers tickets to a Norwegian metal concert, delighting the junior who happens to be a fan. Calling him his soulmate, the senior promises to share a rare EP with him once they return home. In a charming chibi scene, the two colleagues bond over music while the junior acts like a puppy. Liang Xiao offers a warm, blushing smile, clearly touched by his senior's thoughtful gesture and shared interests. A supervisor announces the start of the holidays, telling everyone to head home for the new year. The office fills with joyous cheers as the employees celebrate the beginning of their well-deserved break. The chairman approaches Yi Jian, insisting that he join a dinner party with major shareholders tonight. Shocked and wide-eyed, the senior realizes his holiday plans have just been derailed by a business obligation. A focused close-up reveals the black-haired senior's intense gaze as he reflects on the unfolding workday. Through the office glass, Liang Xiao prepares to leave, while a long-haired colleague announces the end of the shift. Blushing slightly, the brown-haired junior holds up his phone to signal his departure while glancing back through the glass. A sharp ding-dong notification alerts Ye Jian to a message from his junior, who is waiting for him downstairs.
Holding his phone, the senior attempts to excuse himself for personal business before he is interrupted by his superior.
The gray-haired chairman dismissively places a hand on Yi Jian's shoulder, insisting they travel together to a mandatory event. Ye Jian yields to the pressure of corporate rank, internally noting the chairman's overwhelming authority while verbally agreeing to stay. Flashing a satisfied grin, the chairman praises the senior for understanding the importance of the professional obligation. Ye Jian sends a regretful text explaining that the boss's dinner party has ruined their plans for the live show. A series of messages from Liang show him warning his senior to eat well and avoid over-drinking at the party. Confirming the junior's suspicions, Ye Jian replies that he is stuck with the CEO and several major shareholders tonight. Seated in the car, the senior stares at his phone screen and anxiously asks if his junior is angry. The scene shifts to a glowing city skyline before focusing on the opulent interior of a high-end restaurant. Yi Jian maintains a polite smile while toasting with wine glasses alongside the chairman and another senior shareholder. Worry clouds the senior's face as he notes that the junior has abruptly stopped replying to his messages. Another ding-dong sounds as a new message instructs Yi Jian to come out immediately without bothering with his coat. Startled by the sudden proximity of his junior, the black-haired man looks up from his phone with wide, shocked eyes. A localized explosion of realization hits the senior as he wonders why Liang Xiao didn't attend the concert alone. Turning away from the dining table, Ye Jian politely excuses himself from the shareholders' company for a brief moment. The senior walks toward the ornate, patterned doors of the private dining room with a sense of urgent anticipation. Pushing the doors open, he is stunned to find his brown-haired junior standing right there in the hallway. Flushed from the alcohol, a slightly drunk Ye Jian admits his surprise at seeing the younger man at the venue. Grabbing the senior's shoulders, Liang Xiao firmly tells him to wait just 2 minutes while he handles the situation. Leaning in close, the junior explains his plan to give a toast and quickly retrieve the senior's belongings. In a quiet, intimate moment, Liang Xiao reveals his intention to take his senior to a club instead. A quick shut sounding echoes through the hall as the junior boldly enters the private room, leaving the senior behind. Wiping sweat from his brow, Ye Jian questions if he is actually sleepwalking through this surreal corporate intervention. The senior stands frozen, trying to process the sheer audacity of what the younger man just proposed to do. Hearing the door open, Ye Jian panics, worrying that his junior's bluntness might offend the powerful men inside. Peeking through the gap in the doors, the senior watches with bated breath as his junior approaches the table. To his shock, the senior sees Liang Xiao standing confidently among the shareholders, who seem strangely at ease. A close-up captures the junior's golden eyes and a smirk that suggests he is in complete control of the room. Feeling a chill of intimidation, the blushing senior wonders if the younger man is warning him to stay hidden. Liang Xiao smoothly invents a work emergency for Director Ye, while the chairman happily agrees that he should leave. The junior pours a drink for the general manager, offering a 3-cup toast as a polite fine for his department. Standing tall, Liang Xiao charms the older men by offering to drink in his senior's place to show respect. The shareholders playfully tell the junior to stop drinking since he needs to drive the car they arrived in. Switching to a soda can, Liang Xiao bids a respectful farewell to the men he familiarly calls uncle. Downing the beverage, the junior turns to leave with a satisfied expression as the bosses bid him good night. Back in the hallway, Liang Xiao helps the dazed senior put on his coat while checking on his well-being. The junior points out they still have 30 minutes to make it to the venue before the music starts. Pressing the elevator button, Yi Jian reflects on how the junior perfectly engineered a step down for the bosses. The senior asks about the junior's familiarity with the investors, questioning if his family is also in this business. Liang Xiao confirms his family's status but reassures the senior that there is no competitive conflict with their firm. Holding hands firmly, the junior tells the senior he can ignore these boring social obligations whenever he chooses. Realizing they can actually make it to the show, the black-haired man looks at his junior with newfound admiration. In the parking garage, Liang Xiao twirls his keys as a sleek red sports car chirps a greeting. Overwhelmed by the junior's high-profile rescue and flashy car, the senior covers his eyes in embarrassed amusement. With a gallant "Senior, please," the brown-haired man holds the car door open for his stunned colleague. Yi Jian settles into the luxury passenger seat, finally ready to leave the corporate stress behind for the night. A sleek red sports car roars down the road, its lights cutting through the hazy night air. Standing close, the brown-haired junior adjusts his senior's tie while they share an intimate, gaze-filled moment together. Speeding through the city, Ye Jian questions the road speed limit while enjoying the fresh, cool night wind. Liang Xiao keeps a steady hand on the wheel,
casually admitting he has no idea what the limit is.
The senior jokingly warns of police, but the junior confidently claims that no one will be able to catch them. A deep blush stains the black-haired man's cheeks as he reacts to the younger man's bold and rebellious streak. They arrive at a modern building, and Liang Xiao softly announces their arrival to his dazed and flustered senior. Taking the lead, Yi Jian suddenly grabs his junior's shirt and pulls him into a passionate and intense kiss. In a moment of silent longing, the senior internally confesses his overwhelming desire to finally kiss the younger man. After the kiss, Liang Xiao tenderly cups the senior's face and reassures him that there's nothing to worry about. Their hands entwine against a sparkly pink backdrop, symbolizing the official start of their romantic and committed relationship. The couple walks hand in hand into a crowded, neon-lit club, ready to enjoy the energetic and lively atmosphere together. A guitarist shreds on stage as Liang Xiao notes they have arrived exactly in time for the opening set. With a flirtatious smirk, the junior touches his lip and comments that the wine, or perhaps the moment, is sweet. The black-haired man watches the stage with interest, mesmerized by the intense performance and the vibrant, pulsing club lights. Standing together in the crowd, the two men share a soft, meaningful look while the music thumps around them. Leaning his head on the junior's shoulder, Ye Jian reflects on how surreal it feels for them to be there. Liang Xiao thinks the situation is cool, while the senior laughingly teases him by calling him Prince Liang. The junior asks if it is the senior's first time attending such a place, noticing his slightly overwhelmed state. Liang Xiao surprises his senior by revealing he saw his tattoo long before they ever spoke to one another. Recalling a past British shoegaze concert, the junior describes seeing the senior in the front row from a distance. The senior realizes they shared a hidden history at that show, though he was too distracted to notice back then. Ye Jian asks if the tattoo was the only reason he was noticed, but the junior quickly denies the claim. Promising to talk more later, Liang Xiao focuses on the stage as a drummer signals the start of the set. The crowd erupts in joyous cheers, raising their hands and making rock signs as the high-energy music fills the room. Caught up in the excitement, both men clap along with the rhythm, their faces lit by the flashing stage lights. Yi Jian places a steadying hand on his junior's shoulder, his expression a mixture of genuine enjoyment and fatigue. The senior wonders why the younger man isn't jumping, while Liang Xiao remains silent with a calm, focused gaze. Holding the senior's hand tightly, Liang Xiao asks if the older man is starting to rely on him more. The black-haired man realizes that the current song isn't his junior's favorite based on his lack of energetic reaction. Noting the senior's pale face and lack of strength, Liang Xiao wraps a protective arm around his weary companion's waist. The junior insists that they take a break, leading his exhausted senior through the lively crowd toward a quieter area. Sitting at the bar, the senior takes a moment to breathe while the long-haired bartender serves another patron nearby. Rubbing his forehead, Ye Jian admits with a sigh that he is getting too old for such late-night festivities. Liang Xiao offers water, noting the senior's overindulgence while they reflect on the fierce and rowdy atmosphere. Slumping onto the counter, the senior receives advice to rest before trying to fight or enjoy the night further. A gentle touch sounding as the junior's hand reaches out to tenderly stroke the back of the resting senior's neck. Yi Jian remains still, leaning into the comfort as the younger man continues his soft and soothing caress. Grabbing the junior's shirt again, the senior bluntly asks why the younger man has fallen so deeply for him. The junior offers a small, knowing smirk, looking down at his senior with eyes full of quiet, intense affection. Touching the senior's chin, Liang Xiao explains that the older man has made a world of difference in his life. Sometime later, the brown-haired man dries his hair with a striped towel after taking a late-night shower at home. A look of mild surprise crosses the junior's face as he spots someone waiting for him in the living room. Ye Jian has fallen fast asleep on the couch, his suit jacket still on and his tie loosened from exhaustion.
A focused close-up captures the junior's warm, golden gaze as he silently observes the peacefully sleeping black-haired man. The senior sleeps soundly, his messy collar and loosened tie hinting at the long and eventful night they shared. Reaching out, a gentle caress sounding as the younger man's hand strokes the senior's cheek with deep, quiet tenderness. Still deep in sleep, the senior lets out a soft moan as he unconsciously reacts to the junior's touch. With a soft expression, Liang Xiao quietly asks the sleeping man if he drifted off while waiting up for him. Waking up and rubbing his tired eyes, Yi Jian looks at his junior, who tells him the shower is ready. Yi Jian yawns in his dark suit, casually agreeing to his junior's plans as the morning light fades. A sharp clack sounding as the door shuts, while Liang Xiao blushes with a fond, lingering smile.
Looking pensive, Ye Jian dries his dark hair with a striped towel, his arm tattoo clearly visible. Sitting up in bed, the senior questions Liang Xiao about his sleeping pills and receives a quiet confirmation. The couple lies together in bed, the brown-haired man finding comfort resting his head against his partner's chest. A tender embrace is captured in a close-up as their hands clasp warmly over a white shirt. Liang Xiao leans in with a gentle, blushing gaze, his eyes full of unspoken and deep-seated devotion. Yi Jian closes his eyes with a peaceful smile, wondering playfully what he should do with his junior. A pleasant sizzle sounding as 2 eggs fry in a pan, signaling the start of their morning breakfast. Humming a quiet tune, the senior smiles contentedly while he expertly handles the cooking duties. Wearing an apron over his t-shirt, Ye Jian uses chopsticks to flip the breakfast in a red pan. Still groggy, Liang Xiao rubs his eyes and offers a soft morning greeting as he enters the kitchen. Looking back with a smirk, Yi Jian invites the sleepy younger man to eat before he fully wakes. A quick tug sounding as the senior ties his apron strings, focused on preparing a good meal. Liang Xiao provides a back hug, whispering his thanks while the black-haired man continues his work at the stove. Flustered and blushing, Yi Jian tells his junior to stop messing around and focus on their breakfast. Sitting at the dining table, the senior reflects on how a quiet life like this is actually nice. With a cheerful expression, Liang Xiao suggests going for a slow jog together before starting their workday. Flashbacks surface of a past encounter in New York where the two first began their complicated history together. Memories of a job fair reappear, showing Ye Jian as a stern interviewer and Liang Xiao as a student. Seated nervously, the brown-haired man remembers submitting his resume while hoping for a chance to connect. Liang Xiao reflects on how the senior seemed uniquely unwelcoming compared to the other recruiters at the fair. As the student walked away, the senior called out his name, a moment that felt like turning point. Transitioning back to the present, Liang Xiao admits he was deeply troubled after being cheated by someone named Roman. Facing a dead end in his life, the younger man remembers the insomnia that once plagued his nights. Leaning on his senior at the bar, Liang Xiao apologizes for not remembering the details of their past. They reflect on exchanging contact information years ago, a digital thread that finally pulled them back together. Viewing a phone screen, Liang Xiao recalls finding his senior's distressing posts from years ago. Caressing his face, Liang Xiao speaks of destiny and the kindness he found during their unexpected interview meeting. Tracing the senior's neck, the junior mentions the rock band tattoos and the passion they represent. Liang Xiao explores the senior's many sides, marveling at the tattoos that map out his favorite music bands. Sharing an intimate kiss, the brown-haired man notes how his senior avoids his gaze and his hugs. Wrapped in a back hug, Liang Xiao lists bands like Dream Theater and Pantera found on the senior's skin. With 19 bands in total, the junior playfully offers to point out every single one of them individually. Leaning into the embrace, Liang Xiao softly requests that his senior always stays by his side to accompany him. The two men stand close at the bar, their gazes locking as the air fills with unspoken desire. Pulling his partner closer, Liang Xiao asks if the senior's words will still be true in another minute. Determined and present, the younger man challenges his senior to take their relationship seriously without any regrets. Despite having had drinks, Ye Jian declares he won't regret anything and takes responsibility for his words. Laughing heartily, Liang Xiao asks if the senior wants to be taken to the bathroom for more privacy. Amidst the crowded dance floor, the couple shares a passionate and lingering kiss, oblivious to the crowd. A firm grip on a shirt sleeve emphasizes the intense longing and physical connection between the two men. Liang Xiao kisses his senior's neck, drawing a sharp, flushed reaction from the older man. Dazed and blushing, Ye Jian admits his body feels cold, leaning into his junior for much-needed warmth. Looking away with a deep blush, the senior dismisses his own feelings as boring while his partner watches. Embracing him tightly, Liang Xiao reassures his senior to leave everything to him and simply trust the moment. With adorable dog ears appearing, the junior pleads with his senior, reminding him he can do whatever he wants. Backed against the wall, a blushing Ye Jian finally gives in, agreeing to the younger man's bold suggestions. The empty bar counters stand silent under glowing lights, leaving the two men alone in their shared intimacy. Hugging a shirtless Ye Jian, Liang Xiao whispers that he prefers a more private place than a toilet. Liang Xiao pulls his senior into an intimate embrace, whispering a suggestive request to clamp his legs together. Under vibrant stage lights, a blue-haired guitarist performs an energetic set while music notes drift through the air. Ye Jian stirs in bed, shielding his eyes from the bright morning sun as he slowly begins to wake. Sitting up, the black-haired man notices a quiet house, his attention caught by a soft whistle sounding nearby. Reaching for a note on the nightstand, Ye Jian reads his junior's promise to return soon with breakfast. A warm blush spreads across the senior's face as he cherishes the thoughtful message left by his junior. Standing before the mirror, Ye Jian realizes that Liang Xiao's borrowed pink shirt is far too large for him. A sharp click sounding at the door startles the senior, who calls out for his junior with wide eyes. To his shock, an unfamiliar older woman stands in the doorway, looking equally surprised by the senior's presence. The senior sits in stunned silence, overthinking the awkwardness of being caught in his junior's apartment by a stranger. Hearty laughter sounding, the nanny Huma introduces herself, while the flustered senior politely offers to prepare some tea. Huma is impressed by the senior's helpful nature, wondering if a miracle occurred for the junior to find him. Liang Xiao returns with breakfast bags, stopping in his tracks when he spots Huma waiting in the apartment. The junior greets his senior with a soft look, noting how early the black-haired man has managed to wake. Handing over the food, Liang Xiao teasingly asks if the senior had to wait a long time downstairs. The senior smiles warmly while taking the bags, mentioning he only went down at 9:30. A close-up captures the brown-haired junior blushing with delight as he enjoys a delicious bite of his breakfast. Relaxing on the couch, the senior shocks his junior by announcing he intends to stay home for the holiday. Stunned by the unexpected commitment, the black-haired man stares back with a deep, silent blush staining his cheeks. Liang Xiao is deeply moved by the senior's words, declaring he will never forget this moment for a lifetime. Holding hands tightly, the couple shares a joyous laugh while the junior admits he isn't being exaggerated at all. With a gentle smile, the senior looks forward to finally being free to enjoy the holiday by his junior's side. The senior pulls his junior into a tender hug, leaning his head against the younger man's shoulder in contentment.
Liang Xiao marvels at how quickly his senior accepted their relationship, feeling as though he is living a dream.
Caressing his junior's hair, the senior reassures him that this is reality and he is definitely wide awake. Looking up with shimmering, vulnerable eyes, the brown-haired man gazes at his senior with deep and unspoken affection.
The junior whispers a suggestive request, asking his senior to accompany him to buy something for their protection. In a playful moment, the senior reminds his junior about the obligation to visit his father during the holidays. Later that night, the senior lies in bed and peeks over at his junior, noticing how quiet it has become. Observing the sleeping man, Yi Jian wonders if his hypnotic plan to make his junior rest actually worked out. Earlier, the senior agreed to rest only if the junior promised to close his eyes and sleep too. The senior reflects on the irony of sharing a bed with a superior when most people avoid them completely. Resting his head on his junior's back, the senior's dark neck tattoo is visible against the white pillow. A close-up captures the senior's steady, observant gaze as he watches over the sleeping man with quiet devotion. The senior shares a list of his favorite music bands, his voice soft as he leans against his junior. Looking down with a peaceful expression, the black-haired man feels a surge of warmth for the person beside him. Tucking himself closer, the junior bids his senior goodnight, while the exhausted older man finally drifts into sleep.